And importantly, at what expense? Schopenhauer pointed out that intellect and social interaction are often at odds. The more intelligent you are, the less sense you find in the charade, not out of arrogance, but because you perceive what others overlook. You recognize the facades. You see the falsehoods dressed up as politeness. You become aware of the frailty of a world where everyone yearns for approval from others. The most frightening realization is that most individuals would rather turn a blind eye to this. Society aims to keep you amused rather than encourage contemplation, because excessive thinking leads you to realize the inconsistencies. You start to see that most connections are shallow, that much of the conversation is trivial noise, and that the struggle to conform is really a form of self-destruction. This presents a dilemma. If you possess the insight to recognize this, you must also grapple with the loneliness it entails. Because let's be honest, the more you analyze, the harder it becomes to find your place among others. And individuals are aware of it. They sense that you are not engaging in the shared frenzy, and they notice that you don't observe social customs with the same unthinking loyalty, and this disturbs them, as your simple presence poses a risk to the world they inhabit. Schopenhauer expressed it clearly. Being alone is the destiny of all exceptionally insightful individuals, and that is painful. It is painful because society has conditioned you to believe that true happiness is found in connections with others, that friendships and a sense of belonging are necessary. But what occurs when many of those connections feel hollow? What happens when you realize that the cost of social interaction is mediocrity? What happens is that you begin to search for something deeper, withdraw a bit, and you start to value your own time over the approval of others. And this is where an intriguing shift occurs. Initially, solitude seems like a punishment, but eventually, it transforms into a luxury. As in solitude, you uncover something that society desperately tries to conceal from you, which is inner peace. Schopenhauer grasped this concept better than anyone else. To him, intelligence was not merely a gift, it also served as a burden. The greater your understanding of the world, the less it fascinates you, and the more you perceive human behavior, the less inclined you are to participate in its dynamics. This is where many misunderstand. They may interpret this message as a call to misanthropy, thinking it advocates for disdain towards others or total rejection of social interaction. However, it's not the case. It's about recognizing the distinction between engaging with people and feeling obligated to do so. It's about granting yourself the freedom to decide when and with whom to interact, rather than simply conforming to societal expectations. It's about realizing that authentic intelligence does not require outside approval. The most fascinating part, however, is when you cease to seek acceptance, a transformation occurs within you. Others begin to notice. They perceive that you are not yearning to blend in, that you do not rely on their validation, and that your existence doesn't fall apart if you miss out on the next gathering. This perplexes them, as most individuals are ensnared in the need to be acknowledged, to be heard, to be accepted, while you, by stepping out of that dynamic, become a mystery that both unsettles and captivates. The irony lies in the fact that the less you seek social validation, the more influence you gain over it. Genuine freedom begins when you stop worrying about others' perceptions of you. So the next time you hear someone suggest that you should engage more socially, that you need to work harder to be likable, or that you should conform to societal norms, keep this in mind. It's not you who is at fault. You are merely an individual who has come to recognize the truth, which is often too unsettling for many to face. What's even more fascinating is this. When you come to understand that you don't require social affirmation, and when you genuinely grasp that most interactions are merely performance, you become aware of something else. The quiet. Quiet becomes your friend, and that frightens others, as we exist in a realm where noise prevails. Social media chatter, trivial discussions, and news meant to elicit reactions. Everything is designed to keep you distracted constantly, because silence compels you to reflect, and contemplation can be intimidating. Schopenhauer not only recognized this reality, but also experienced it firsthand. He dedicated a significant portion of his life to solitude, focusing on philosophy, music, and deep thought. His withdrawal from society wasn't due to a dislike of humanity. Rather, he realized that the clamor of the world only serves to muddle the mind. This is where many make a mistake, as they conflate solitude with loneliness. However, there's a considerable distinction between being alone and being lonely. To be alone is a sign of strength. It's a deliberate choice to favor depth over shallowness, to select quality over quantity. In contrast, being lonely is a burden. It's the feeling of someone who longs to belong but cannot, who seeks acceptance yet fails to find it. The irony is that the individual who yearns for approval will always face rejection, while the one who willingly turns it down will never be genuinely alone. This is because when you forge your own path, indifferent to the judgment of others, you draw in those who truly count, people who reflect, who inquire, and who don't feel the need to fill every moment with meaningless chatter. Because here's the reality: being intelligent doesn't mean being unsociable. The truth is that intelligence often turns away from the trivial. Take a moment to consider this. The brilliant minds throughout history were not unsocial, but they also didn't want to waste their energy on meaningless discussions. Da Vinci dedicated lengthy periods to his craft without the desire to broadcast every idea he had. Nietzsche distanced himself from society when he recognized that his perspectives were too challenging for average thinkers. Tesla pursued his innovations with a fervor that few could grasp, and all of them were viewed as odd, eccentric, and hard to engage with. Why is that? Because they refused to fit the mold. They didn't adhere to the expectations of typical social interactions. The truth is, socializing consists of a set of expected behaviors meant to keep you integrated into the system. From birth, society teaches that acceptance is paramount, that friendships are essential, that belonging to a group is necessary, and that being alone is undesirable. However, no one informs you that many groups thrive on the fear of solitude rather than genuine connection. It remains unsaid that those who appear to have vast social networks can often feel quite unfulfilled. No one mentions that the most brilliant ideas, significant movements, and essential breakthroughs originated from individuals who chose to detach from the clamor. But there's more to consider, as this is where many become puzzled. They believe that the solution lies in entirely rejecting society, assuming the answer is to live as a recluse, sever ties with the world, and exist in utter seclusion. However, that's not the case, for true strength does not come from fleeing the world. Instead, it lies in understanding when to engage and when to step back. Real power involves operating quietly when the surroundings are chaotic, yet showing up with resolve when necessary. Think of the renowned tacticians. They weren't always front and center in conflicts, but whenever they did emerge, their influence was unmistakable. Those who genuinely grasp the essence of life are not bound by society, nor are they outsiders. They operate subtly, moving their pieces without fanfare. They create in the shadows, and when the world finally takes notice of them, it's already too late, as they have succeeded without drawing attention to themselves. Schopenhauer observed that exceptional minds are often solitary, not as a form of punishment, but as an asset, because in solitude, one can genuinely build something meaningful. But what about those who do not comprehend this? What happens to individuals who believe that joy is solely derived from others' approval? They end up trapped in a cycle of reliance, where every image they post, every story they tell, and every viewpoint they share is meticulously crafted to elicit a response, a like, a comment, any affirmation that makes them feel that they matter. Here's a harsh reality. If your worth hinges on others' reactions, then you've never truly lived. You're merely a reflection of others' expectations, and that is the antithesis of freedom. Because genuine freedom is not merely about doing whatever you wish without repercussions. It is about not needing anyone's validation to pursue what you genuinely want. It means not relying on external clamor to experience life. It is the ability to sit alone in total tranquility without experiencing anxiety or the urge to constantly fill silence with distractions. If you can't achieve that, then you aren't free. You are confined by the noise. Schopenhauer grasped this better than most, which is why he withdrew from society, not out of disdain, but as a tactic, for only with a clear view from afar can one truly understand reality. Only in silence can you hear your own thoughts. And if you've read this far, it's because deep down, you are already aware of it. You realize that aspects of contemporary social life seem illogical. You recognize that many of your interactions are simply superficial. You understood that genuine development occurs not amidst chaos, but through self-reflection. Now the challenge is, do you have the bravery to acknowledge this? Because once you accept it, there's no going back. It becomes intolerable, mundane. Discussions feel ridiculous. The urge to conform vanishes, leaving only the reality that being alone is not a penalty. It's a gift meant for those resilient enough to withstand it. You can no longer fool yourself. You can't compel yourself to enjoy what once appeared ordinary. You can't feign fulfillment from meaningless chats or believe that seeking acknowledgement from others holds any value, and that's the threshold you can't cross back over. It's frightening, isn't it? Most individuals dedicate their lives to blending in, quietly sacrificing aspects of themselves to gain acceptance, suppressing parts of who they are to avoid unsettling others. But you cannot do that anymore because now you grasp something that many will never comprehend. Life is not about assimilation. It's about discovering what truly connects with you and having the resolve to pursue that, even if it means traveling a solitary road. And here lies the harshest irony of all. The more you dare to express your true self, the more attractive you become, since people crave genuineness. Yet very few possess the bravery to be real. Those who dare, who move forward without fear, who don't seek validation from anyone, are the ones who naturally attract followers, not because they are looking for it, but because such genuine freedom is so rare and distinctive that it cannot be overlooked. And now I pose a question to you. What will you do with this knowledge? You cannot overlook it. You may act as if you have never viewed this video. Return to your usual routine. Continue engaging in the charade. Keep conforming to the expectations that have been set for you. Alternatively, you could opt for a much tougher path. You might confront the unease that comes with the truth. You may accept that the majority may never fully grasp your perspective. You can stop sacrificing your true self just to belong. You can begin to live for yourself instead of for others. In the end, there are two kinds of individuals in this world: those who conform and those who discover who they are. Most people choose the first route for its convenience, comfort, and safety, while a select few who take the second path are the ones who genuinely leave an impact. So, I ask you, what type of person do you want to be? If you've reached this point, please leave a comment that says, "Silence is power," because only those who comprehend this are prepared to navigate life according to their own terms. If this video prompted reflection, if you ever felt that I was articulating something you've sensed but never voiced, then consider subscribing, as this is merely the beginning. See you in the next video.